The fluorescent lights buzzed like distant thunder as Austin shoved his cart toward the checkout. The last echoes of holiday shoppers long faded into the rainy Seattle night. He was bone-tired from another 12-hour shift at the coffee roastery. His fingers numb from the chill that seeped through the automatic doors every time they hissed open. But then the doors didn't open. They sealed shut behind him with a metallic click that echoed through the empty aisles. And there, silhouetted against the red bullseye sign, stood Riley, keys in hand, his smile sharp as a secret. Austin's heart slammed against his ribs, not from fear, but from the way Riley's gaze locked on him, unblinking, like had been waiting for this exact moment all night. Who locks a guy in a Target after midnight? Riley stepped closer, his work vest unbuttoned over a black tee that clung to his broad shoulders, and whispered, "You're not leaving until I know your name." Austin had always believed in signs, the kind that whispered through the fog of his ordinary life. But nothing prepared him for the way Riley's hand brushed his when he handed over the receipt, a spark that lingered like static on skin. It was October, the air thick with the scent of wet pavement and pumpkin spice from the seasonal display Head just abandoned. His cart half full of frozen meals and cheap wine to drown another lonely weekend. Had come to this sprawling Target on the edge of Capitol Hill because it was open late, a beacon in the drizzle that mirrored the ache in his chest. At 28, Austin felt like he was drifting through Seattle's endless gray, his days a loop of grinding beans and scrolling through grinder profiles that never quite clicked. The store was a ghost town now, registers dark, shelves stretching into shadows where end caps touted Black Friday deals months away. Austin glanced at the exit, sealed tight, and a flicker of unease twisted in his gut. "Excuse me," he said, voice steady despite the pulse hammering in his throat. "I think you forgot to unlock." Riley leaned against the conveyor belt, his arms crossed in a way that made the muscles in his forearms flex under the ink of a half-hidden tattoo. A compass rose peeking from his sleeve. "Forgot." Riley's laugh was low, warm, cutting through the hum of the AC like sunlight through clouds. "Nah, Austin. I saw you wandering those aisles like you were mapping out your whole damn life in laundry detergent and ramen. Figured we'd talk before you vanish into the rain." Austin. The name tumbled out before he could catch it, and Riley's eyes lit up, green flecked with gold, holding him in place more surely than any lock. Riley was the night manager, had explained earlier with a wink while scanning Austin's items. The guy who closed up this beast at 1 a.m. Sharp. But tonight, Sharp had stretched, and now here they were, two strangers in a sea of consumerism, the world outside blurred by rain-streaked glass. "You always this bold with late-night stragglers?" Austin asked, shoving his hands into his hoodie pockets to hide the tremor. "Or am I special?" Riley pushed off the counter, closing the distance in 2 strides. Close enough that Austin caught the faint scent of his cologne. Cedar and something sharper, like fresh-cut pine. Special enough to make me break protocol. He nodded toward the employee lounge door at the back, half hidden behind a display of flannel shirts. "Come on. Coffee. On the house. Unless you're scared of a little after-hours adventure." Austin's laugh escaped, brittle at first, then real, cracking the tension like ice underfoot. He wasn't scared. Not of locked doors or bold strangers. What scared him was how easy it felt to follow. Cart abandoned. footsteps echoing as they slipped into the lounge. It was a cramped space, lockers dented from years of use, a microwave humming with the ghosts of nuked burritos. Riley flicked on a single bulb, casting long shadows, and poured 2 mugs from a pot that smelled suspiciously fresh. Black, 2 sugars, Riley said, handing it over, their fingers brushing again, deliberate this time. Austin froze, the heat from the mug seeping into his palms, mirroring the flush creeping up his neck. How'd you know? Lucky guess. Riley settled onto a rickety stool, knees almost touching Austin's. Or maybe I pay attention to the guys who look like they're carrying the weight of the sound on their shoulders. Seattle does that to you, doesn't it? The rain, the hills, the way everyone pretends they're fine, but eyes you like you're the next big heartbreak. Austin sipped, the bitterness grounding him, and studied Riley over the rim. Mid-30s, maybe, with a jaw that could cut glass and laugh lines that soften the edges. His dark hair cropped close on the sides, longer on top, damp from the mist had braved on his smoke break earlier. There was a story in the way he held the mug, knuckles scarred from some old fight or forgotten hobby. And Austin, who prided himself on reading people over espresso shots, wanted to unravel it thread by thread. It's the gray, Austin admitted, setting the mug down. Makes everything feel temporary, like you're just passing through. Riley nodded, slow, his gaze never wavering. Then stay a minute. Tell me something true. Not the bullshit small talk. Something that keeps you up when the city quiets. The question hung heavy, and Austin felt exposed, like Riley's words had peeled back his hoodie to reveal the scars beneath. His last relationship had ended 6 months ago, a slow bleed of arguments in a cramped Belltown apartment. His ex's voice echoing. You're too much, Austin. Too needy. Too everything. Had packed a bag that night, crashed on a friend's couch in Capitol Hill, and never looked back. But the emptiness lingered, a hollow in his chest that no amount of overtime could fill. I used to think love was like those ferries cutting through the bay, he said finally, voice low. Steady. Reliable. But it's more like the storms that roll in off the Olympics. You see it coming, brace for it, and still get soaked. Riley's smile faded, replaced by something raw, unguarded. My storms hit harder. Lost my brother last year. Drowned out kayaking in the Cascades. 1 minute he's laughing, next he's gone. And I keep thinking, if I'd gone with him. The words trailed off, and the lounge shrank around them, the world narrowing to this shared ache. Austin reached out, unthinking, his hand covering Riley's on the table, thumb tracing the ridge of a knuckle. I'm sorry. That kind of loss. It rewires you. Yeah. Riley turned his hand, lacing their fingers, the contact electric, a current that hummed through Austin's veins. But tonight feels like the weather's shifting. Time blurred then, minutes stretching into an hour as they talked, voices overlapping in the dim light. Riley shared stories of growing up in Tacoma, the son of a fisherman dad and a teacher mom. How had fled to Seattle after college for the anonymity of the city lights. Austin confessed his drift from a Boise childhood, the pressure of a family that loved him but didn't see him. Not really, not the parts that mattered. Laughter wove through the grief, light as fog lifting, and when Riley stood to refill their mugs, he paused, hand on Austin's shoulder, thumb grazing the nape of his neck. "You have no idea how rare this is," Riley murmured, breath warm against Austin's ear. "Finding someone who listens like you do." Austin's pulse thundered, every nerve alight, and he turned, faces inches apart, the air charged like the moment before lightning. Riley's eyes searched his, a question and a plea, and Austin answered by closing the gap, lips meeting in a kiss that started soft, tentative, then deepened into something fierce, hungry. Riley's hands framed his face, stubble rasping against skin, and Austin melted into it, the taste of coffee and salt on his tongue, the locked doors forgotten in the rush of heat. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, and Riley chuckled, ragged. "Shocked yet?" Austin grinned, breathless, the hollow in his chest filling with something warm. Alive. Terrified. But in the best way. The rain pounded harder outside, a symphony to their whispered confessions. And as Riley pulled him closer, Austin wondered if this was the sign he'd been waiting for, or the storm that would finally break him open. The lounge door swung shut behind them with a soft thud, sealing their secret in the fluorescent haze. But Austin barely registered it, lost in the press of Riley's body against his. They moved like they'd rehearsed it, backs hitting lockers with a clang that echoed too loud in the quiet store. But neither cared. Riley's mouth was on his neck now, teeth grazing the pulse point, drawing a gasp that Austin muffled against Riley's shoulder. The vest came off first, tossed aside like shed skin, revealing the taut lines of his chest under the thin tee, rising and falling with labored breaths. "This is crazy," Austin whispered, even as his hands roamed, fingers slipping under fabric to trace the warmth of Riley's ribs, the faint ridges of old scars that told tales he ached to hear. "We're in a target. What if someone? No one's here." Riley's voice was gravel. "Urgent," his hips pinning Austin's to the cold metal. "Just us. Just this." And it was true. The store of vast, empty cathedral to late capitalism, aisles silent witnesses to their unraveling. Austin surrendered then, letting Riley guide him down onto the worn couch in the corner, springs creaking under their weight. Clothes shed in a tangle, hoodies and tees pooling on the linoleum, until skin met skin, slick with sweat and the humid press of Seattle autumn. Riley's touch was reverent at first, exploring the curve of Austin's hip, the dip of his spine, like he was memorizing a map he'd lost long ago. Then urgency took over, hands gripping, bodies arching in a rhythm that built like a crescendo, gasps and moans swallowed in the dim light. Afterward, they lay tangled, breaths sinking in the afterglow, the air thick with the musk of them. Austin traced lazy patterns on Riley's chest, heart thumping steady under his palm, and felt, for the first time in months, anchored. "What's your story, Riley?" "Really? The tattoo, the scars. You don't strike me as the retail lifer." Riley shifted, propping on an elbow, his gaze soft in the half-light, fingers combing through Austin's damp hair. "Used to be a paramedic. Rode the aid cars through the worst of it. Overdoses in Pioneer Square. That's on I-5. Save a lot of lives. Lost more. Burned out after my brother's accident. Figured stocking shelves was safer than stitching up strangers' hearts. Austin nodded, the weight of it settling. Safer. Maybe. But lonelier. Yeah. Riley's thumb brushed Austin's lip, lingering. Until tonight. They dressed slow, stealing kisses between zips and buttons. The lounge a cocoon, they weren't ready to leave. Riley unlocked the doors finally. The click a reluctant goodbye, and walked Austin to his beat-up Civic in the lot. Rain sheeting down like a curtain call. Here is my number. Text me when you get home safe. And Austin. This wasn't just the lock-in talking. I want more. Austin's phone buzzed in his pocket as he drove the slick streets toward his studio in Fremont. The message lighting up the dash, already missing that smile. Breakfast tomorrow. My place. He'll make pancakes. He grinned, the city's neon blurring past, feeling lighter than he had in years. The next morning dawned gray but breaking. Sun fighting through clouds as Austin navigated the winding roads to West Seattle. Riley's address a modest bungalow tucked against the bluff. The door opened before he could knock. Riley in sweats and a faded mariner's tee. Flour dusted on his cheek like war paint. Come in, stranger. Hope you're hungry. The kitchen smelled of vanilla and bacon. Sunlight slanting through windows overlooking the sound. Ferries cutting white wakes in the distance. They ate at a scarred oak table, knees brushing under it. Conversation flowing easy as syrup. Riley talked about his mom in Tacoma, how she had taught him a bake after his dad bailed, the way grief had forged them closer. Austin shared fragments of his own fractured family. The Boise winters that froze more than lakes. His dad's quiet disapproval when he'd come out at 18. The hug from his sister that had saved him. You're brave, Riley said, clearing plates, his hand lingering on Austin's wrist. Coming all the way out here, building something in this rain-soaked mess. Brave or stupid? Austin laughed, but it caught. Vulnerability creeping in. Most days it feels like I'm just surviving. Then let's make it thriving. Riley's pull was gentle, drawing him into the living room where a record player spun low. Some indie folk crooner filling the space with melancholy strings. They danced then, awkward at first. Bodies learning each other in the daylight. Riley's chin on Austin's shoulder. Breaths mingling. The kiss that followed was slower, deeper. A promise etched in the curve of lips and the sigh that escaped when they parted. Days blurred into weeks. A whirlwind of stolen moments that stitched Austin whole. Mornings at the roastery bled into evenings at Riley's, where they'd cook pasta from scratch or hike Discovery Park at dusk, hands clasped against the chill. Seattle unfolded for Austin in new ways. The markets vibrant with vendor calls. The locks alive with salmon leaps. Riley's laughter a constant thread weaving through it all. He met Riley's friends at a dive bar in Ballard. A rowdy crew of ex-first responders and artists who ribbed Riley about his soft spot, clapping Austin on the back like head always belonged. I could get used to this, Austin murmured one night, curled against Riley on the bungalow porch, city lights twinkling below like fallen stars. You. Us. Riley kissed his temple, voice thick. Good. Because I'm all in. But cracks formed, subtle at first, like hairlines in glass. Riley's phone would buzz late, screen lighting his face with a frown head wave off as work. He'd vanish for hours on weekends, claiming inventory runs that stretched too long. Austin pushed it down, chalking it up to the job, but doubt gnawed. A whisper from his past, too needy. One crisp November evening, after a shift that left Austin smelling of scorched beans, he surprised Riley at the Target, a six-pack in hand, hoping for an impromptu date. The store thrummed with evening rush, but Riley was at the back, visible through the service door, his body language stiff as he spoke to a woman Austin didn't recognize. She was striking, late 20s, blonde hair pulled into a ponytail, her hand on his arm in a way that twisted something sharp in Austin's gut. He waited, heart pounding, until closing, but when Riley emerged, keys jingling, his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Hey, didn't expect you. Thought we'd grab a beer." Austin's voice was light, forced. "Saw you talking. Friend." Riley hesitated, rubbing his neck. "Yeah. Colleague. From the old days." They drove in silence to the bungalow, the six-pack sweating on the seat between them. And that night, in bed, Austin pressed. "What's going on? Riley, you've been distant." "It's nothing." Riley rolled away, back a wall of tension. "Just tired." The lie hung, acrid as burnt coffee, and Austin lay awake long after Riley's breaths evened, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines. The following week brought the first real storm, wind howling off the Pacific, bending trees in Alki Beach Park where they walked to clear heads. Austin had spotted the photo on Riley's fridge that morning. Tucked behind a magnet, Riley, arm around the blonde, both grinning at what looked like a wedding, confetti in her hair. "Who's she? Really?" Riley stopped, rain beating on his jacket, face paling. "My ex. We were engaged once. Ended a year ago. After your brother." Austin finished, the pieces slotting cruel. "You never said." Didn't want to drag it up. Riley's eyes pleaded. "She's just a friend now. Austin. Swear it. But trust. Once cracked. Spreads." And Austin's nights grew restless. Phone checks a habit he hated. He threw himself into work, experimenting with roasts that drew compliments from regulars. But the joy soured, tainted by the what-ifs. Then came the night that shattered it all. Austin arrived at the bungalow unannounced. Key Riley had given him weeks ago heavy in his pocket, craving the solidity of arms around him after a brutal double shift. The door was ajar, voices spilling out, low and intimate. He froze in the entry, coat dripping on the mat, as Riley's laugh filtered through, followed by hers, the blonde's, soft and teasing. Peeking around the corner, Austin saw them on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm draped casual, a bottle of wine half empty on the coffee table. They looked easy, familiar, like a life had never been part of. "What's this?" Then Austin stepped in, voice steeled despite the quake in his chest. "Date night." Riley bolted up, face draining. "Austin, no. She's here because." "Save it." The words lashed out, hot and final. "I was the last customer. Remember? Locked in for a night. But you're still holding the keys to someone else's heart." He turned, storming into the rain, the door slamming like a guillotine. Behind him, Riley's call chased, raw and breaking. But Austin didn't stop. The downpour washing tears he wouldn't admit to, driving blind through sheets of water, the city a blur of betrayal. The wipers slapped rhythmically against the windshield, a metronome to Austin's unraveling, as he navigated the flooded streets of West Seattle back toward Fremont. His studio apartment loomed like a tomb when he arrived, the key turning too loud in the silence, the space echoing with absence. He stripped off his soaked clothes, leaving a trail to the bathroom, and stood under the scalding spray until his skin pruned, willing the water to burn away the image of Riley's arm around her, the ease of their laughter that mocked his own vulnerability. Sleep came in fits, dreams tangled with locked doors and compass tattoos that pointed nowhere, waking him at dawn with a gasp, chest tight as if the rain had seeped into his lungs. His phone lay silent on the nightstand, Riley's texts unread, a wall Austin built brick by accusatory word. It wasn't what it looked like. Please, talk to me. But talking felt like begging, and had sworn off that after his ex, the one who'd carved needy into his bones. Work dragged. The roastery a haze of steam and chatter he tuned out. Regulars commenting on his pallor with concerned tilts of heads. Hey, kid, you okay? Marla, the barista who'd become a surrogate aunt, slid him a latte mid-shift, her eyes sharp. Spill, or I'll spike it with espresso till you do. Austin leaned on the counter, the scent of caramel grounds grounding him fractionally. It's nothing. Guy trouble. She snorted, wiping a mug with maternal efficiency. In this town, try guy apocalypse. But if he's worth it, fight dirty. If not, kick him to the curb with your boot on his heart. He nodded, but the advice swirled unanswered, and by closing, impulse won. He texted Riley, meet me at the park. Alki. Now. The response was instant, on my way. The beach was a watercolor wash under overcast skies, waves lapping gray against pebbled shore, joggers braving the wind in neon arcs. Austin waited on a bench scarred with initials, hood up against the drizzle, heard a war drum when Riley's truck pulled up, gravel crunching under tires. He emerged, jacket zip tight, face haggard, eyes red-rimmed like hadn't slept either. Thanks for coming. Austin stood, hands shoved deep, voice level. We need to end this clean. Riley closed the distance, desperation etching lines around his mouth. No. Listen. First. She's getting married next month. To her girlfriend. Came over last night for advice. Old friends catching up. That's all. I swear on everything. Austin. You're the one I want. The words landed like punches, each one cracking Austin's resolve. But doubt lingered. A poison seeped deep. Why didn't you tell me about her? About the engagement. Feels like you were hiding a whole life. Because it hurts. Riley's voice broke, raw as exposed wire. Planning that wedding, picking rings, then watching her realize she loved someone else. It gutted me. Made me question everything. When I met you, it was like light after blackout. I didn't want shadows touching us. A gust whipped off the sound, carrying salt and regret. And Austin stepped closer, searching Riley's face for lies, finding only mirrors of his own pain. I want to believe you. God, I do. But trust, it's fragile. And you handed me shards. Then let me glue them back. Riley reached, tentative, fingers brushing Austin's cheek, cold and trembling. Give me a chance to prove it. The touch ignited, a spark to dry tinder, and Austin leaned in, forehead to forehead, breaths mingling in the chill. One chance. But no more secrets. We build this open. Or not at all. Relief flooded Riley's features. A dam breaking, and he pulled Austin into a hug fierce enough to bruise. Bodies aligning against the wind. Deal. Now come home. My home. Yours. Ours. They drove back together. Riley struck a cocoon against the storm, hands clasped over the console. The silence companionable now, laced with tentative hope. At the bungalow, they shed wet layers in the entry, laughter bubbling as socks squelched, and tumbled into bed, not for heat, but for holding, limbs entwined like roots seeking soil. Riley whispered stories into Austin's hair. Truth's head buried, the night his brother drowned. How Head pulled the kayak from the river alone. The guilt that anchored him heavier than any chain. Austin shared his own ghosts. The Boise Christmas when his dad had walked out mid-confession. The sisterhood driven through blizzards to fetch him. Dawn crept in, painting the room gold, and they rose slow, making breakfast with the ease of survivors. Pancakes stacked high, syrup sticky on fingers they licked clean. The days that followed were amending, deliberate and tender. Riley introduced Austin to his mom over FaceTime. Her Tacoma twang warm as she teased. He's a keeper. That one. Eyes like the bay at sunset. Austin took Riley to the roastery, letting him blend a custom roast. Their laughter drawing smiles from patrons. But healing isn't linear, and old wounds fester if ignored. December brought holidays. Seattle's streets aglow with lights strung like promises. But Austin's family called. A Boise summons laced with obligation. You haven't visited since summer, his mom said, voice tinny over the line. Dad's asking about you. Bring that boyfriend we keep hearing whispers of. Riley overheard, tension coiling in his shoulders as they decorated the bungalow tree, ornaments clinking like fragile truces. You should go. See them. They'll hold down the fort. Austin paused, tinsel in hand, the pull of blood warring with the man beside him. Come with me. Meet them proper. Or are you scared of potato hot dish and awkward small talk? Riley's laugh was strained, eyes distant. It's not that. Just. Families are minefields. Mine imploded after Ben. Haven't done the meet the parents since. Then we'll navigate together. Austin set the tinsel down, drawing him close amid the pine scent. Like everything else, the drive to Boise was a revelation. I-90 unfolding in snow-dusted vistas. Riley's playlist of Springsteen and Fleetwood Mac filling the cab with road-worn anthems. They arrived at dusk. The family home a rancher glowing against the Teton's silhouette. His mom's hug enveloping. Dad's handshake firm, but eyes wary. Dinner was a gauntlet. Questions probing like forks in pie. So, Riley, what line of work? Paramedic. Sir. Night manager now. Steady job. Good. Under the table, Austin's foot nudged Riley's. A silent you got this. and Riley squeezed his hand, the gesture grounding. His sister, Lena, pulled him aside after, her grin sly. He's hot. Ouse. And looks at you like you're the damn son. Don't fuck it up. Christmas Eve brought snow, fat flakes blanketing the yard, and they escaped to the old swing set. Breaths fogging as Riley confessed. Your dad's staring at me like I stole his favorite son. He's just protective. Austin swung them gently. Creak of chains a lullaby. Give him time. He'll see what I do. New Year's found them back in Seattle. Countdown at a Fremont party. Confetti raining as Riley kissed him at midnight. The world narrowing to lips and cheers. But January whispered warnings. Riley's shifts lengthening. Unexplained absences creeping back. Austin buried it, focusing on a promotion at the roastery. But the text from unknown numbers on Riley's phone gnawed. Glimpses of miss you, and we need to talk. One sleety night, after Riley bailed on a planned hike in Green Lake Park, Austin drove to the Target, heart leaden. The lot was near empty, and through the glass, he saw Riley in the break room, phone to ear, voice low and urgent. I can't keep doing this. Sarah. It's over. The name hit like ice water, the blonde's face flashing in memory. He waited in his car, engine idling, until Riley emerged, spotting him immediately, face crumpling. Austin, wait. Enough. Austin killed the engine, stepping out into the sleet. Sarah, your ex-fiancée. She's the one texting. The one you swear is just a friend. Riley's hands raked through wet hair, anguish twisting his features. She's struggling. Her wedding fell through. Fiancé's cheating. She needed someone to talk to. Me? Because I get it. The heartbreak. And you didn't think to tell me. Again. Austin's voice rose, sleet stinging his cheeks like accusations. I'm not your therapist, Riley. I'm your... whatever this is. And you're shutting me out. Because I don't want to lose you. Riley's plea cracked the night. Every time I open up, it hurts more. Then you're already losing me. Austin turned. The words of severance, driving away as Riley's silhouette shrank in the rear view. The betrayal a fresh scar, blooming raw. February's chill seeped into Austin's bones. A relentless freeze that matched the ice around his heart. As he packed the few things he'd left at Riley's bungalow in the dead of night. The key placed on the kitchen counter like a resignation letter. The drive back to Fremont was a blur of taillights on Aurora Avenue. Radio static underscoring the hollow throb in his chest. He crashed on the studio couch. Sleep of mercy that came heavy and dreamless. Waking to a city muffled in fog. The sound invisible beyond his window. Days stretched into a numb routine. Work a lifeline he clung to. The roastery sense of clove and chocolate a balm against the void. Marla noticed, of course, her sidelong glances turning to intervention over closing shifts. You look like death warmed over. Han. Spill. Or he'll call your sister. Austin leaned on the broom, sweeping grounds into neat piles, the monotony soothing. He left. Or I did. Same difference. Turns out secrets have expiration dates. She pulled him into a hug. Flour-dusted apron against his apron. Voice fierce. Secrets are cowards' way out. You deserve the truth. All of it. No chaser. Her words echoed as he wandered Seattle's underbelly, seeking solace in the familiar, a solo pint at the Pike Place Brew Pub, where fishmonger's calls drowned his thoughts, a matinee at the Egyptian Theater in Capitol Hill. The silver screens flicker a distraction from his own reel of regrets. Grindr pinged occasionally, profiles blurring into sameness. But swiping felt like betrayal of something sacred. So he deleted the app, opting for runs along the Burt Gilman Trail, pounding pavement until his lungs burned, the lake a mirror to his turmoil. Riley's text came sporadic at first, then a barrage. Please. One coffee. Let me explain. I fucked up. Miss your voice. Austin read them in the dark, thumb hovering over reply, but hit delete each time. The wound too fresh. Bleeding trust, head barely rebuilt. Lena called from Boise, her voice a tether across states. Mom says you sound like a ghost. What happened? Ouse. That guy. The one with the smile. Gone. Austin paced his studio, rain tapping the pane like impatient fingers. He lied. Hid things. I can't do half-truths again. Then don't. She paused, the line crackling with distance. But don't let it bury you. Remember that summer after Dad flipped, when we drove to the Sawtooths? You said, Scout don't fud, but they teach you where not to cut next. Heal smart, brother. Her wisdom lingered, prompting a call to a therapist head ghosted post-breakup. Dr. Elias in a Belltown high-rise, his office a sanctuary of plants and leather chairs. First session, Austin unloaded, words tumbling like avalanche, the hook of that locked door night, the heat of their bodies, the slow poison of omissions. Dr. Elias nodded, glasses perched low, voice even. Betrayal isn't just the act. It's the echo. What does it echo for you? Austin. Needy. The word escaped, bitter as bile. Like I'm always chasing what slips away. They unpacked it over weeks. Sessions carving space for grief. For the boy who'd hidden crushes in comic pages. For the man who'd armored his heart in hoodies and overtime. Austin journaled at night, pages filling with raw scrawl. What if vulnerability isn't weakness, but the key? The roastery promotion came through. Manager trusting his blends, and he poured creativity into it, crafting a limited edition Puget Sound roast. Notes of sea salt and evergreen that customers raved over. Spring teased Seattle with reluctant blooms. Cherry blossoms dusting queen and like confetti. And Austin found rhythm in solitude, volunteering at a youth center in the Central District, mentoring queer kids navigating their own storms, their wide eyes mirrors to his younger self. One boy, Jamal, 16 and fierce, clutched his sleeve after group. How do you know when it's real? Love? I mean. Austin smiled, ruffling his fade. When it scares you shitless. But you fight for it anyway. Fate, or coincidence, ambushed him at the youth center fundraiser, a block party in the CD pulsing with jazz and food trucks. He was manning the coffee booth, steaming lattes under string lights, when Riley appeared, hesitant at the edge of the crowd, hands in pockets, face leaner, haunted. Austin froze, steam hissing forgotten, the air thickening with unsaid words. Hey! Riley's voice cut through the bass line. Tentative. Saw the flyer. Had to come. Austin set the pitcher down, wiping hands on his apron. Pulse staccato. Bold move. Needed to see you. Riley stepped closer, the crowd parting like it knew. I've been in therapy since you left, unpacking the mess I made. Sarah's out of my life for good. Boundaries set. But you're the ghost I can't shake. Austin's throat tightened, the scent of grilled plantains mingling with cedar cologne. Stirring memories head boxed away. Why now? Because I'm better. Not fixed, but fighting. And I miss the man who saw me, scars and all. Riley held out a small package, wrapped in newsprint. Open it later, if you want. Austin took it, fingers brushing, the contact a jolt that lingered. I don't know if I can. Riley. The hurt. I know. Riley's eyes shimmered. Earnest. But let me show you. One step. Coffee. Next week. Neutral ground. The party swirled on, laughter and horns underscoring the tension. And Austin nodded. Barely. The package heavy in his pocket. Go. Before I change my mind. Riley left with a ghost of his old smile. And Austin exhaled. The night air cooler. Possibility flickering like the lights overhead. Back home, he unwrapped the gift under the studio's lone lamp, a custom mug. Glazed deep blue like the sound at midnight. Etched inside with stay. Brewed for you. Tucked in tissue was a note. I locked the doors that night because I saw my future in your cart. Let me unlock it now. Tears pricked, unbidden, and Austin set it on the shelf. Not deciding, just breathing through the ache. The coffee meat was in a neutral spot, a hole in the wall in Ballard. Fogged windows and mismatched chairs. The barista calling orders like a ship's captain. Riley arrived early. 2 mugs steaming. His tea loose on a frame had skipped too many meals. Thanks for coming. Austin slid into the seat. Hoodie zipped high. Voice guarded. Don't thank me yet. They talked halting at first. Words like ice flows bumping cautious. Riley shared therapy breakthroughs. The paramedic ghost's head laid to rest. How volunteering at a Tacoma crisis line filled the voids. Austin listened, then spoke. His own sessions. The youth center kids who reminded him healing was communal. Laughter crept in. Tentative. Over a shared scone crumbled between fingers. I was wrong. Riley said finally, gaze steady. Hiding wasn't protecting us. It was protecting me. From feeling too much. Austin's chest loosened. Fractionally. And now I feel it all. For you. The walkout was charged. Ballard streets slick with recent rain. And at Austin's car, Riley paused, hand on the door. One more chance. Or none. Your call. Austin met his eyes, the green-gold depths pulling like tide. One more. Slow. Honest. Riley's grin broke wide. Sunrise after eclipse. And they parted with a hug that lingered. Bodies remembering. Summer's heat wave blanketed Seattle in uncharacteristic haze. The usual drizzle traded for sun that baked the asphalt and drew crowds to the waterfront. But for Austin and Riley, it was a season of deliberate reconstruction. Each day a brick laid with care. They started small, coffee dates evolving into walks in Discovery Park. hands brushing accidental at first, then intentional, fingers lacing his path's wound through sword ferns and salt air. Riley opened his bungalow again, but Austin kept his studio, a boundary that felt like breath, space to exhale doubts. Evenings found them at the roastery after close. Riley perched on a stool as Austin tweaked blends, the air thick with roasting chaff and quiet confessions. Remember that first night? Riley said one dusk, watching Austin tamp grounds. I locked those doors on impulse. Like if I let you go, I'd lose the only real thing I'd touched in years. Austin glanced up, tamper pausing, the memory a warm ember. Scared the hell out of me. In a good way. Now, it's the unlocking that's hard. Riley nodded, sliding off the stool to stand behind him, chin on shoulder, arms loose around waist. Then we turned the key together. No rushing the tumblers. Therapy continued. Separate paths, converging in shared check-ins. Dr. Elias recommending joint sessions that peeled back layers like onion skins. In one, under the therapist's neutral gaze, Riley admitted the root of his secrecy, a fear inherited from his dad's abandonment. The belief that love demanded perfection. Flaw's eviction notice. Austin countered with his own. The needy label a self-fulfilling cage. How vulnerability had always felt like handing over a loaded gun. You're not needy, Austin. Riley said post-session, over foe in the International District, steam curling between them. You're alive. That's what draws me. You're fire. The words settled. A cornerstone. And Austin felt the cage bars bend, light seeping through. Jamal from the youth center became a fixture, tagging along on group hikes to Rattlesnake Ledge. His questions a bridge between past and present. Y'all look solid. How'd you fix it? The big break. Honesty. Mostly. Austin ruffled his hair, trailed dust on his sneakers. And time. Lots of it. Riley mentored too, sharing paramedic tales sanitized for teens. His patience a revelation, drawing Jamal out on his own coming-out scars. Watching them, Austin marveled at Riley's capacity. The man who'd once walled himself, now building ramps for others. Mid-July brought a test. Riley's mom visiting from Tacoma, her arrival a whirlwind of clam chowder and fairy tales. Ellen was compact, silver-streaked hair in a bob, eyes sharp as her son's but warmer, hugging Austin like a long lost. So you're the one who thawed my boy's heart. Sit. Eat. Tell me everything. Over dinner on the bungalow deck, sunset gilding the sound, she probed gentle, the locked door meet, the betrayals, the mending. Takes gets to rebuild, she said, squeezing Austin's hand. Ben's loss broke Riley, made him hide. But you see him. That's rarer than Puget pearls. Later, alone with Riley, Austin whispered, she's right. I do see you. All of it. Riley's kiss was fervent, grateful, carrying them to the bedroom where bodies moved with rediscovered trust. Slow explorations, mapping familiar terrain anew. Gasps a litany of affirmations. August swelled with festivals. Seattle's Bumbershoot pulsing through downtown. Stages thumping bass as they wandered hand in hand. Riley's thumb tracing Austin's knuckles amid street performers and food stalls. A caricature artist caught them mid-laugh. sketching exaggerated features. Austin's tousled hair wilder. Riley's jaw comically square. Hearts doodled in the margins. Framed, it hung in the studio, a talisman. But cracks, though mended, test pressure, and Labor Day weekend brought Sarah's shadow unbidden. A mutual friend from Riley's old crew hosted a barbecue in Magnolia. The invite inclusive, but when she appeared, radiant in a sundress, arm linked with a new partner, the air thickened. "Hey, Austin." She smiled, genuine, extending a hand. "Heard you're the hero in this story." He shook, polite, but tension coiled as stories flowed. Her laughter an echo of that night on the couch. Riley caught his eye across the fire pit. Mouthing okay, Austin nodded. But later, in the truck, word spilled. Seeing her. It stirs the mud. Riley pulled over on a bluff overlook. City sprawl twinkling below. "I get it. Should have warned you. But she's past. Austin. You're now. Future." The assurance landed, and Austin leaned across the console, kiss sealing it, the overlook a witness to their recommitment. Fall crept in with amber leaves carpeting Gasworks Park, where they picnicked one crisp afternoon, kites dotting the sky like freed thoughts. Riley had a surprise, pulling a small box from his backpack, not ring-sized, but weighted with intent, a keychain compass. Etched true north. For us. So we never lose direction. Austin's throat closed, clipping it to his keys, the metal cool against palm. Perfect. October circled back. Anniversary of that Target night. And Riley recreated it, albeit legal, a private after-hours tour of the store, courtesy of a favor called in. All's lit soft, cart filled with their favorites. At checkout, he locked the symbolic doors, pulling Austin close. Last customer. First love. They made love in the lounge. Same couch creaking under them, but this time with eyes open, gazes locked, a dance of equals. Afterward, wrapped in vests for warmth, Riley whispered, "Marry me. Not now, but someday. When you're ready." Austin's heart soared. Yes on his lips, but he tempered. Soon. When the foundation's solid. November rains returned, but they weathered them, cocooned. Thanksgiving at Linus in Boise. The family expanded. Dad's handshake evolving to a clap on shoulder. Mom's pie recipe shared with Riley like heirloom. "You two glow," she said, winking. "Like the aurora we chased as kids." December holidays shimmered. Tree trimmed with mismatched ornaments. New Year's toasted with champagne on the bluff. Fireworks bursting over the Needle. As snow dusted rare, they stood wrapped in one coat. Riley's voice low. "This year, you saved me. From myself." Austin turned. Hazel meeting green gold. We saved each other. The crisis came unannounced. January's icy grip tightening with a call from Tacoma. "Ellen. Stroke. Hospital." They raced the ferry. Riley's hands white-knuckled on the wheel. Silence heavy as the crossing. In the sterile room, Ellen frail but fierce. She gripped Austin's hand. "Knew you'd come. Both of you." Days blurred in vigil. Riley pacing corridors. Austin brewing coffee in the lounge. Their bond anchor. When she stabilized, discharged to recovery, Riley collapsed against him in the parking lot. Sobs racking. Thought I'd lose her too. Like Ben. You didn't. Austin held tight. Rain pattering on the truck roof. We're here. Building legacies. Not just surviving. Spring bloomed defiant. Cherry trees defiant against residual chill. And with it, decisions crystallized. Austin sublet his studio, moving fully to the bungalow. Boxes unpacked with Riley's help. Laughter echoing as they christened rooms. The youth center thrived, Jamal coming out to his folks with their support. A barbecue celebration where he toasted. To locks that open. Not close. Summer solstice found them on the San Juan Islands. A ferry escape to Orcas. Kayaking coves where seals bobbed curious. At Lime Kiln Lighthouse. Sunset painting the straight crimson. Riley dropped to one knee. Ring simple platinum. Etched with their initials. Austin. Be my forever. Marry me. Yes, tore free. Joyous. And they kissed as waves lapped. The world vast and theirs. The engagement ring caught Seattle's perpetual drizzle like captured starlight. A modest band that weighted Austin's finger with promise, turning mundane moments into milestones, stirring grounds at the roastery. Fingers flexing to admire the gleam, lacing hands with Riley on morning jogs through Volunteer Park. The conservatory's glass dome winking approval. News spread organic. Marlo whooping over shift change, pinning a handwritten congrats to the bulletin board amid faded flyers. Lena squealing via video, demanding Boise fittings, even Jamal high-fiving at the center. Quipping. About time. Old man. Wedding plans unfolded unhurried. A canvas for their healed selves. No rush to alter, but savor in the dreaming. They pored over catalogs on rainy Sundays. Bungalow couch, a nest of fabric swatches and venue brochures. Riley's head in Austin's lap as they debated, courthouse simple or lakeside affair at Green Lake. Something us, Riley murmured, tracing the ring. Intimate. Real. No facades. Austin nodded. Cards in hand for a vision board. Wildflowers over roses. Craft beers instead of champagne. A playlist blending their histories. Springsteen for Riley's Tacoma roots. Indie folk for Austin's Boise drifts. The youth center kids chimed in during group. Sketches of cake designs absurd and endearing. Jamal's featuring a bullseye target with grooms fleeing in cartoon panic. Ellen recovered steady. Her Tacoma home a hub for planning calls. Voice piping through speakerphone with opinions fierce. None of that minimalist nonsense. Full blooms. Like the meadows Ben loved. Her presence grounded. A matriarch mending her own fractures through theirs. And Riley drove weekly. Austin tagging along for ferry rides that doubled as dates. Hands clasped over chowder bowls in the cafe. Work evolved too. Austin's promotion blooming into a side hustle. Pop-up roasts at farmers markets in Ballard, where Riley manned the table, charming customers with tales of the blend's origins. This one's for the storms we weathered, he'd say, pouring samples, eyes flicking to Austin with private heat. Sales soared, the extra padding a wedding fund. But more, it felt like partnership manifest. Their strengths dovetailed. Yet growth invites shadows. And June's solstice eve brought a tremor. Riley's old crew, the ex-paramedics, threw an impromptu bachelor bash at a Fremont brewery. Taps flowing amber. Laughter raucous under Edison bulbs. Austin mingled easy, but midway, Sarah appeared, uninvited, solo this time, her smile tight as she cornered him by the dartboard. Congrats. Really? He deserves happiness. Austin sipped his IPA, guarded. Thanks. You okay? She shrugged, eyes glassy. Broke it off again. Turns out, hearts don't patch easy. Just take care of him. He hides when hurts. The words lingered, a cautionary echo, and later, as Riley drove them home buzzed and buoyant, Austin probed gentle. Sarah was there. Said hi. Riley's grip tightened on the wheel, jaw clenching. Shit. Didn't know. You good? Yeah. Austin covered his hand, squeezing. But she's right. No hiding. If doubts creep, we voice them. Deal. Deal. Riley's exhale was relief, pulling over to kiss him fierce under street lamps. The city's hum a blessing. July's heat peaked. Wedding date set for September equinox. A lakeside pavilion at Seward Park. Maples poised to flame. Invites went out handwritten, wax seals with compass imprints. Guests a tapestry, family from Boise and Tacoma. Roastery kin, center kids with guardians, even DR. Elias RSVPING with a wink. Rehearsal dinner loomed. But first, a bachelor weekend retreat to the Olympics. Riley's idea, a cabin in the Hoh rainforest. Moss-draped cedars a cathedral to solitude. The drive wound through fog-shrouded passes, their playlist looping. And, at the cabin, isolation amplified intimacy. Evenings by the fire pit, stars pricking the canopy. They shared unvarnished futures, adopting someday. Maybe a rescue pup first, traveling. A road trip tracing Route 101 coastal. Riley eyeing night classes for counseling. Turning scars to service. Austin envisioned expanding the roasts. A brick and mortar in Capitol Hill. Riley's voice narrating podcasts on blends. One dawn, hiking to Solduck Falls. Mist rising like spirits. Riley paused on the trail. Backpack slung low. Remember the compass. You're mine. Always have been. Austin's heart swelled, pulling him into a kiss damp with dew. The cascade roaring approval. Back in Seattle, rehearsals unfolded seamless. The pavilion strung with lights. Wildflowers nodding in breeze. Lena's toast at dinner cracked the room to Austin, who locked eyes across a checkout and unlocked hearts. To Riley, who turned a retail cage into a launch pad. Tears flowed, Ellen raising glass with steady hand. Dad's nod to Riley now familiar. Approving. Wedding day dawned golden. September sun gilding the lake. Guests arriving in waves. Jamal as unofficial ring bearer. Fidgeting in khakis. Austin dressed in the bungalow. Mirror reflecting a man transformed. Tailored shirt hugging shoulders honed by runs. Hair tamed but tousled. Hazel eyes bright with nerves and joy. Riley texted from the park. See you at the altar. Don't bolt. The ceremony was poetry. Officiant a center ally weaving their story, from locked doors to open vows, betrayals to bindings. Vows exchanged under maple bower. Riley's voice steady. I promise to hold your storms. Share my silences. Build with you the home we deserve. Austin's trembled. I vow to trust your truths. Lean into your light. Love you is the map that guides me home. Ring slid on, simple bands matching the first, and the kiss sealed it. Cheers erupting, lake lapping gentle. Reception pulsed joyful, tables laden with roasts and chowders. Dances under twilight. First as couples swaying to Wonderwall. Then floor opening to chaos, kids twirling. Ellen leading a Tacoma jig. As stars wheeled, they slipped away to the shore, barefoot in sand, rings glinting. Shocked yet? Riley teased, echoing that first night. Austin laughed, pulling him down to blanket-spread grass. Every day. In the best way. The life, ever the dramatist, scripted a postscript twist that October Eve, a year full circle to their origin. Target called Riley in crisis. Overnight manager quit, and he dragged Austin along for nostalgia. The store midnight maze. As aisles emptied, a young clerk, wide-eyed and trembling, confessed to Riley post-shift. I'm scared. Told my folks. They freaked. Riley knelt, voiced the counselor's calm head trained for. Hey. Breathe. You're not alone. And Austin, beside him, added, We've been there. Locks open both ways. The kid exhaled, tears tracking, and in that moment, Austin saw their legacy, not just a love story, but a beacon, turning personal pain to communal grace. Years later, with a rescue lab named Ben bounding at their feet, a Capitol Hill cafe brewing dreams, and center expansions honoring Ellen's resilience, Austin would reflect on that locked door night, not as beginning, but ignition. Love, had learned, was an absence of storm, but the courage to dance in the rain, hand in trusted hand. The cafe, Dub Compass Brew, opened its doors on a crisp November morning 2 years post-vows. The Capitol Hill corner buzzing with ribbon cuttings and free samples. Seattle's eclectic crowd milling under a sign etched with their story, where paths converge. Austin manned the espresso bar. Tattoo baristas, hand-picked from the center. Jamal among them, now 20 and tattooed himself, pulling shots with flair, while Riley handled the front, his easy charm drawing locals who lingered over pastries, swapping tales of first loves and second chances. The space was theirs, poured from souls, reclaimed wood counters from Tacoma docks, walls lined with local art, queer artists from the CD, pieces depicting sound sunsets and urban fogs, a corner nook for readings, therapy pamphlets discreet on shelves. Ellen, healthier now, with a cane she wielded like a scepter, manned the till sporadically, her laugh booming as she quizzed customers on blends. This one's for the heartbreak mending, she'd say, pouring Austin's signature healing haze. Notes of smoked oak and vanilla evoking bonfires and rebirth. Life layered rich, the lab. Ben 2. A black fluff ball with Riley's energy, bounding through morning rushes. Tail wagging deals. Family wove tighter. Boise visits annual. Dad's grilling lessons for Riley evolving to quiet beers on the porch. Confessions traded over cores. Proud of you. Son. Both of you. Lena, married now herself to a software whiz. Hosted hybrid holidays. Zoom bridging coasts. But the deepest thread was the center, evolved under their guidance into a full haven. Unlock House, serving queer youth with workshops, hotlines, even a cafe internship piping talent to Compass. Jamal thrived, pursuing social work at UW, crediting them in his application essay. They showed me betrayal builds bridges, not walls. Challenges came, as they do, a slow winter season testing the cafe's books. Riley's counseling certification demanding late nights. A health scare for Austin. A routine check flagging anomalies that proved benign but shook foundations. Through it, they leaned. Therapy a ritual. Dates reclaimed. Fairy picnics. Hikes where compasses spun wild in magnetic woods. Reminding that direction was choice, not fate. One spring equinox, marking 5 years wed. They returned to that target, now remodeled but spirit intact. Riley charming the manager for a late browse. In the lounge, unchanged save fresh paint. They sat on the couch, hand clasped, reminiscing. That night, Austin said, "I thought you were the shock." Turns out, we were. Riley grinned, pulling him close. Still shocking me. Every dawn. Summer brought expansion. A second location scouted in Tacoma. Ellen's backyard dream. And fall harvest festivals where they vended. Been to mascot in a bandana. Winter solstice. Under the bungalow's tree. Now a tradition with center kids helping trim. They exchanged gifts. Austin a leather journal for Riley's case notes. Riley a custom roast labeled Eternal Ember. As decades blurred, silver threading their hair, Compass grew chainlet. Unlock houses sprouting in Boise and beyond. Their story anthologized in memoirs. Locked in, let out. Grandkids adopted. A boy from the center. A girl Violina toddled the cafe floors. Ben, 3 yipping at heels. While elders like Ellen spun yarns of the night, 2 fools found fate in fluorescent aisles. In quiet eaves, porch swings creaking. Austin would trace Riley's ring, worn smooth as river stone. Regrets. Riley shook head. Gaze evergreen. None. You were the last customer. I was the lock. Together, we open worlds. And in that humanistic arc, from shock to sanctuary, betrayal to boundless, they proved love not a fairy tale, but a forge, tempering souls through fire, emerging unbreakable, a light for wanderers in the rain.